I want you to imagine this for a second. You're paying your HOA on time every single month, doing everything right. Then one day, out of the blue, you get a letter saying you owe thousands of dollars. And they start fining you for things you don't even own. A dog you never had, a TV you never threw away. You can't make this stuff up. This really happened to a homeowner right here in Florida. And when you hear what their HOA did, you're going to be shocked. Let's get into it.
So I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to use the word hate, but I despise association. Now, I live in an association. I've been living there for 17 years, since 2008. We own our own home, so we live here in this association. And I'm telling you something, these people, they try so many times, accusing us for things that we haven't even done. You know, they threatened us with fines for walking a dog at 2 a.m. We don't even have a dog. I'm a Jamaican, me don't have a dog. I don't need no dog here. And don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but I don't want to have a dog because of those same reasons. I don't want to have to be walking a dog at 2 a.m. And we were accused of not having a leash on the dog, having him running around at 2 a.m. We don't even have a dog. They even threatened us with having thrown a broken TV next to the dumpster. We didn't even have a broken TV.
You see what I mean? You can do everything right. Pay your dues, keep your home clean, mind your business, and somehow your HOA will still find a reason to come after you. Can you imagine them finding you for walking a dog you don't even own and finding you for a broken TV you don't even have? It makes you wonder if some of these associations are more focused on control than community. Oh, and this story, it gets worse. Wait until you hear what they did with her payments.
So this association is just on our backs, like, you know what? You know, I despise association. I think they should get rid of them once and for all. But the most and the worst of them all is when they accuse us of not paying association for 2 straight years.
Wow.
Can you believe that? At that time, our association was like, I think it was about $260 something a month. Now it's way over $300 something a month we pay for association. Now at that time, they accused us of not paying association for 2 straight years. I went to that office and I was livid.
2 years. I don't even blame her for getting mad. That would set anybody off. You're paying every single month, and out of nowhere, they tell you you haven't paid your association in 2 years. Come on. And you know what? Here's the part that gets me. When they make a mistake, you're the one who have to chase them down. You've got to call, pull records, go back and forth with them just to prove something that should have been done right the first time. That's not how it's supposed to work. But in a lot of these HOA, it happens all the time. Let's keep watching.
I was mad as hell. So I went there and I said, what are you talking about? For all the years that we have lived here, I've never ever missed an association. What are you talking about? At that time, I was writing checks. So I would write the checks and I would take them to the office and I would give them to whoever was in the office. Come to find out what they were doing, they were crediting these checks to someone else's account. I guess that person has the same name, first name as myself. I don't know. Whatever happened, that wasn't my business. My business is that I paid my association and I'm not responsible. So that's what they were doing. Now they're still telling me that I need to prove that I paid those associations. So what I did, I had to go to my bank because I wasn't able to even download these statements online so I could show them that I pay my association. It's a good thing everything was coming through my bank because I was using my checks.
Wow, that right there just blows my mind. You're doing everything the right way, writing the checks, dropping them off in person. And then they decide to credit your payment to somebody else. And instead of taking responsibility, they tell you to prove it. That's the part that really gets me, because you shouldn't have to fight to show that you paid for something that you already took care of. No one wants to go back and forth like that. Calling, emailing, explaining the same thing over and over again, and nobody's paying attention. And it's not even just about the money at that point. It's about the principle. You did your part. You paid and they made the mistake. And somehow it's still on you to fix it. And that's what makes people stop trusting the association. When you realize the people handling your payments aren't paying attention, you start wondering, what else are they not keeping track of?
I was using my checks. Now, of course, I had to go to the bank. The bank gave me like 7 years worth of statements. I didn't take 2 years. I took 7 years to them. I said, look at this. I've never missed a payment since I've been living here for 17 years. At the time, it wasn't 17. It was less than that, because now it's 17 years. I said, I've never, ever missed a payment. And don't you dare accuse us of missing a payment. Of course, they found out where the payments were going and apologized, but the damage is already done. You accuse us of not paying association, and that was a terrible experience for me. And because of that, I despise these people. I hate association. I just want them to get rid of association forever, especially here in Florida. And I would never, ever live in another association. I try my best not to live in another association, because they get on your backs for every little thing, and they try to nickel and dime you for every little thing that you can think of. And that is why I will never ever set up an association, an automatic payment. I go in there and I pay when I want, because before you know it, they're charging you for stuff that you don't even know about, you don't dream of, and you don't even know what they're talking about. So association, where I live, I'm not going to call the name, but I want them to get rid of you now and for all.
That's the part that really hits me. You bring them 7 years of proof, 7 years, and only then they realize it was their mistake all along. And sure, they apologize, but it's too late. You've already gone through the stress, the frustration, just to prove something you knew from the start. And honestly, I can understand that's why so many people are done with HOAs. It's not just the rules or the fees, it's the way they handle things when they're wrong. You shouldn't have to fight that hard to be treated fairly. And I get it, after going through something like that, you don't even want to hear the word association again. You pay on time, they lose your payment. They fine you, they apologize, but then the trust is already gone. And just when you think stories like that can't get any worse, they do. There are homeowners across the country dealing with the same thing, except for some, it's gone way beyond late fees or mix-up. One homeowner entire house was sold.
Phone call this August caught homeowner Trinita Rogers by surprise. The caller asking when she was moving out.
And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I bought your house in an upset bid.
This was news to Rogers. She had already paid off her Pitt County home of 12 years.
So I kind of thought it was a joke.
But she soon found out this was no trick. Her home, valued at $413,000, was sold for just $221,000. It turns out her HOA foreclosed on her home 11 months ago, after it says Rogers didn't pay her dues.
Well, why didn't you pay the $1,400? What's your response to that?
That's all I hear. And I say, I would have if I known.
Rogers claims she had no idea she was in an HOA. She also says she got no notice of the debt or the foreclosure, or even of the sale.
No one ever came to your door. No one ever called you. No one ever sent you an email saying you owed this much.
No.
You work hard, you buy your home, you pay it off, and then you find out your HOA sold your home over a monthly balance smaller than your grocery bill. It's unbelievable. There's no phone call, no knock on the door, just a legal notice buried in the mail that most people would believe is junk. And the crazy part is the law allows this in most states. There's barely any oversight. No one is checking to make sure homeowners even know they're at risk. People think it's just a few late fees, but for some, that's how they lose everything. That's the part that's hard to wrap your head around. And that's not the only story. Let's talk about a few more stories making headlines. Another group of homeowners, this time in Georgia, started digging into where the HOA money was going. What they found will make you think twice about every payment you've ever made.
It was very hard. It was hard.
Michelle Bernard remembers the challenges she faced buying her home.
When I came searching in this subdivision, I was advised that I could not afford its subdivision by the realtor.
He was wrong, but 2 decades later, the business owner, wife, and mom says she feels like she's still fighting to own the home.
It doesn't make any sense for any hard-working individual to go through these things. It's considered our community's common area.
With 3 of these common grass areas and this retention pond, original homeowners agreed to $100 annual HOA dues.
They have forced people to pay thousands and thousands of dollars and have never provided proof that they owe it.
Fines and fees for things like pond maintenance and replacing garage doors without HOA permission. Michelle and at least 2 other homeowners tell Atlanta News First investigates they've asked for receipts and bank statements of where the money's going, but they've never received it. Court records show the HOA has placed liens on 5 homes for unpaid balances. 2 homeowners tell us they've paid fees just to avoid losing their homes.
I told them, bring the lien, I'm bringing the lawsuit. They're trying to force me to settle the lawsuit.
Michelle's lien was for less than $3,000, but she says the HOA is offering her a $40,000 settlement, denying most of the allegations.
Why would they offer you money?
To make it go away.
That's the part that's hard to wrap your head around. You ask about where your money's going, but instead of getting answers, you get fined or worse, threats. These are supposed to be communities, but instead they feel like small governments with no one to answer to. And for a lot of homeowners, it's not even about refusing to pay, it's about wanting transparency. You just want to know that what you're paying for is actually being used the right way. So whether it's a payment loss, a lien placed by mistakes, or your home sold from under you, these stories all lead to one truth. Too many homeowners are being left in the dark. And the more we talk about it, the harder it becomes for these things to stay hidden. If you've ever dealt with something like this, drop your story in the comments. I want people to realize that they're not alone, and maybe together we can start to see some change. After hearing stories like these, it's easy to carry that weight. The anger, the disappointment, the feeling that no one is listening or doing what's right. But when I start feeling that way, I remember Romans 12, verse 19. Do not take vengeance, but leave room for God's justice. God sees the confusions, the frustrations, the mistakes that were never yours to fix. And He promises to make things right in His time, not yours. Sometimes He uses the waiting to build our patience, our strength, and our faith. Because even when life feels out of control, He hasn't stopped working behind the scenes. So tonight, before you go to bed, take a deep breath. Release it all. The worry, the bills, the people who got under your skin, give it all to Him. You've done what you can do. Now, let God do what only He can do. Hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you for watching. Be blessed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.